Evening, everyone. TMA Sunday Night Live. As always, you choose the topics. We will discuss them. I'm joined by Wendover, young man Dino, the Turkish immigrant, the man, the myth, the legend, Dino, and Captain Harris himself, Canadian Darren. Evening, boys. We've got some places. Yeah, exactly, mate. We're obviously, as always, proud to be in association with the Watford Football Club Former Players Club. Head over to facebook.com/taylormadeforcommunity. And also, I think last weekend, Luther spoke to a load of legends, Watford legends amongst himself as well, talking about the great GT. That's on Luther's official page, so we'll try and pop up the link for that if anyone has missed that. So yeah, we've got a few decent topics coming up as well, boys and girls. So if you've got anything you want to add, we will try and add that in as we go along. But yeah, let's get cracking straight away. Right, boys and girls, we've got Kevin Palmer's put a really long question here, so I'll try and read out as much as I can. He says, if you were a TC and we're allowed to sign one player in each position from the current championship, keep it simple, one defender, one midfielder, one forward, who would that be and why? Can we also have a wild card? He said he saw someone post someone from Melbourne Victory midfielder who looks pretty solid. Mr. Wendover, aka Greg Feeker, what do you think, mate?
One position, just one position I'm allowed.
Just do three if you want, mate.
Of the ones we've been linked with, I would go for Travers in goal because I think he's the most steady of the keepers we've been linked with. I think with the erraticness of Backman, we need a period of stability in goal. And if indeed Travers is the man, that's the one we'd go for. I think this Turkish guy seems a little bit woo, a little bit way. I'd go Travers. I keep banging on about this one. I'd go Cipriano as the holding midfielder. And as the striker we need, I don't know. I don't know what. I suspect we might end up with Brenner from Udinese. But it's a very hard market to shop in, especially when you've got the pockets of Watford FC, which were highlighted in our recent accounts this week.
Young man, what do you think?
Guys, I always ask these tough questions, isn't it? It's not that easy now, is it, with this market?
Is what the podcast is about, Dino, the tough questions, mate. Come on.
Jesus. Well, defender, it's not really an answer. I quite like the right back that I saw, on his debut. He looked quite, it was one hell of a feisty challenge inside 20 seconds. I quite like that. Can be a bit dangerous, to be fair. I thought he got the ball. Oh, God, midfielder, I couldn't really tell you. Striker, I'll say this, I've said it a couple of times. Is it Mullins of Wrexham? I'd like someone like him up top for us. I know it cost a bit of money, but he's probably the sort of player we could do with up top. I know, like I said, Bio's not really a striker. I know we're looking at getting Rajovic back, but it's not really going to solve our problem, is it? So I'd probably look at someone like Mullins. But beside that, like Greg said, it's bloody tough this time of year and what price. So, yeah, I can't really give it. Yeah, it's tough on the midfield. I'd always want someone like Decore back, but I don't think we're getting back from Everton now, would we? I don't think it's very appealing to come down to the Championship again, but yeah, bit of a tough one. I'll pass it over to Darren on that one. Yeah.
No, before we get to you boys, Dino, you got any inside information? Apparently, Halsey's saying about the Turkish goalie.
No, I'm afraid I haven't.
Come on, mate! Fucking hell! We bring you here for a purpose. Yeah, sorry, boys. Go on.
Is it move? Sorry.
Oh, it's up to you, mate.
You go, mate. I need to get myself together. That's just done me good.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, one of the disadvantages living here in Canada, I don't get to see a lot of the Championship action at all. So as for specific players, I can't say, but I put a post up in the Watford Observer this week, and it was just, Cleverly's been really specific about what he wants.
Yes.
And I respect that. But yet again, what does he get? Now, I know that the young lad played an absolute storming debut yesterday. Fair play to him. It was excellent. So I'm not criticising him at all. But what Cleverley's asking for and what he's so far got and will likely get are not the same. And I honestly, my theory, call it whatever you want, is this. Cleverley has made it clear what he wants. He's done brilliantly with this squad to get where we are in the table. I think a lot of people are keeping an eye on Cleverley. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, number one, if he doesn't get what he wants, if Pozo does already, as he's started with a player from Udinese. And you've got to remember, Cleverley's living away from home. He came down to Watford to take on this project, and that's not easy. So he gets to see his family when we have away games up north more than anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't make the playoffs, we finish about 10th, and then in the summer, Cleverley says thanks very much and walks away and goes to either a League One or a Championship club up north with a lot more support, like genuine support, not shallow words. I feel for Duxbury because Duxbury's just a mouthpiece and has no real control over the rudder of the ship. It all comes from Poxo. Should be Poxo. Pozo. And yeah, it's just, you know, I don't know. I think like yesterday was great, but I feel it's a little bit papering over the cracks because we need more players, and you've got a young manager who's done remarkable. I mean, look at yesterday's captain. I mean, that's fantastic for the kid, right? A couple of years back, he was on the fringes of the squad. He was on loan. We've got a real classic English rock hard defender there, and quality. You know, it's lovely to see that. So it just shows what can be achieved, but it's what can be achieved with a really good young manager who's not just got the technique. I mean, I know he's made some mistakes and made some poor substitutions, but we've got to remember, he's learning, yeah. Right? So I just feel it's a shame because I don't think he's going to get what he wants. And I think it will be, because you could see yesterday, it was really true. The fans were, and that includes you two guys here, the away support was amazing. Absolutely brilliant. And
Duncan, the birth of a new song yesterday.
I heard
that. Indeed.
Exactly. Birth of a new song. The first it wasn't totally anti-Gino, it was more supportive Tom. But it's got I don't care about Gino in it. So
I think that's
the
how
fans are turning, mate. The minority are becoming the majority if he doesn't support Tom.
Yeah, no, I think it's a shame. And I just think, you know, hopefully there will be a few more names coming in. I think now they're being pushed into a corner a little bit because Bond's picked up a knock as well. So we'll see. But it's going to be interesting. But I think it was a great result yesterday, great clean sheet and some good football. Probably the best away performance for quite some time. So I'm still cautiously optimistic. But it just sickens me that we would have been having the same discussions this time last year with different managers. Like, you know, I've forgotten his bloody name now. The guy that we got from West Ham, the manager,
Ivic.
Yeah, you know,
Slaven Bilic.
Yeah, Bilic made it very clear who he wanted, and he didn't get anything. And I think I'd rather have a manager that knows who he wants than somebody who's utterly clueless. And I'm just tired of it now. I'm tired of the, you know, when we first got back into the Premiership, he didn't really want Flores. He actually wanted Mazzari. And that's why Mazzari came in the following season. And it just shows to me that as a business model, this man is brilliant at arranging the financial stability of a club off the pitch. Brilliant facilities, brilliant stable. All that is fantastic. And I'll always be grateful for that. But the meddling in of appointing managers and not listening to managers, that's just madness. As a business model, it's flawed. And it's now really biting us in the arse. So anyway, I'll shut up and give Moods a chance.
You're right, mate.
Yeah, that's very kind of Darren to do that. You know, I was quite enjoying listening to him. Then, quite enjoying it. God, blimey, this is a conundrum that's worse than Countdown trying to work out who we should have. Simple fact is, and Greg's right, because I was in the away. I'd like to state for the first time this season, I was in the away end. Might have something to do with us winning 2-0. Can't. Not going to take the credit. But yeah, I have a feeling we are going to have to get a goalkeeper now because it's worrying that Bond went down like he did. Although the thing that sort of like retracts that is that he was able to walk off the pitch at the end of the game, and he was up and about. So I reckon he had cramp and was told, "Don't bother taking any more goal kicks." So, but yeah, if we have to get someone, then I'd probably go with what Greg said, and we go after the Bournemouth guy, or even go and get that Brandon Austin off Tottenham. 100% apparently, I think, Ian. But yeah, it's, the only players you can really look at if you want you could possibly list of bringing in are guys playing in the top 4 of the championship teams. And you know full well that won't happen because they're not going to part with their players. They're all pushing for promotion. They want to go to the Premier League. So, it's so bloody hard. But yeah, no, like I said, but like Greg said, the best thing yesterday was that new song that was aired for 90 minutes. And if any of the Watford board were there, if they say they didn't hear it, well, they need to go and wash their ears out. Stuart, he only went down in the last couple of minutes. It wasn't an all-game thing.
Moobs, he got injured on Friday in
training.
Did he? Yeah.
He wasn't taking goal kicks on Friday. I think Melanie just said it as well. Tom Cleverley said Friday they decided not to rest him from taking goal kicks.
He's definitely injured. Definitely.
Fair enough.
And had Miles Roberts have gone on and had to play 1 minute in goal, we couldn't loan him again because you're only allowed to play for 2 teams a year.
Yeah.
And I think they really want for his development to put him out again.
Well, if he is injured in thing, who comes in then, don't you?
It's Alfie Marriott.
Yeah.
It's the only one we got left. If they don't want to play, if they want Miles to go on loan, then it's going to have to be Alfie between the sticks.
The thing is, though, look at the example years ago when a certain Hans Sagers, Crichton and a couple of others were injured, and Mark Crossley's 17, 18-year-old came in for Forest. Yeah. And he was playing the likes of Beardsley, Barnes and Rush. They won 2-1. I'm not saying that's the complete thing, but, they're saying you if you're good enough, you're old enough. We don't want to jump him in there. I agree with what Greg said last week. You don't want to jump him in there for the fact that if he has a bad game and touch wood he doesn't, then it destroys confidence. But we don't know. We don't know. And
he's 23, mate. I know goalkeepers come late, but he's 23. He's not 19, 20.
He's not ready now. He's never going to be ready.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to give him a go. Gary Plumley could still do a job. He's only 68. Right, before we... excellent, mate. Sign him up, mate. I'll get Chamberlain back, mate, if that's the case. Right, let's get a few comments out.
Yeah, while you're talking about transfers,
go on.
Did you notice that one went out today?
Yeah, it's Almeida when he went back on a free.
KK Almeida, bought in the summer as a development signing for $1 million. We've outed him back to Brazil already.
He must be crap if he's got released this early. Jesus.
I was going to say, this is crazy.
Fitch hasn't gone yet. I mean, he must be really bad. Whatever he's...
TikTok.
TikTok ain't gone yet, so... almost has the US, mate, to be fair, but... Right, okay, let's get some comments in. Watford Way, James, he says, hi, Pidge, hope you're well. Cheers, mate. How's the evening, geezers? I'll get through a few of them. It's nice that Dino, about Dino getting inside information about Turkish goalkeeper. Lucy saying, hello, ladies. Where's the stat man? Stuart, you were moaning last week that we had a stat man. So that's probably... Duncan will be back on with some more stats because I know you love them. He says, bloody hell, your brainwash. We will mount a final push, bring back the Dane. Mr. Holman, he says, it's time for the Pozzos to go. Enough is enough. They're not backing Tom, and the fans should drive them to sell the club. Pozzos out, Duxbury out, buy it out. Moves in his halo from Lucy. Robert, typical Pozzo, not backing the manager, then pulling the trigger. Unbelievable. Yeah, Mr. Hull was saying, I don't care about Gino. He doesn't care about me. All I care about is Tom Cleverley. That's it. Is that the chant, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the
I
one.
heard roughly that. I heard a little bit of that on the stream, but I couldn't make out 100% what the words were. The manager knows what he wants, but the Potter's bringing who they want. I mean, apparently we were going to get Cameron Archer as well under Bilic, but obviously that didn't work. And what a load of fuck! Oh, I'm not going to go on. I'm going to go on for 8 hours. Well.
And
Exactly. Yeah, we got some really good Garnacho as well. Mr. Pierce says I'd try and loan Louis Barry. 15 goals on 23 games for Stockport this season, and recalled supposedly looking for a Championship club. Yeah, we talked about him, and that'll be a fantastic shout. Melanie once again said Bond not taking free kicks. Apparently he was injured. Stuart says squad is a fucking mess. Klebs needs reinforcements, absolutely. And Stuart says mental health. Brilliant, mate. We all love a bit of mental health, mate.
Yeah.
I've got a question, Pidge.
Well, go on, mate. Carry on.
I'm just sitting here in Canada looking at the background, at the picture of the old Vicarage Road end.
Yeah, that's what Greg was saying.
That's a great picture. Bottom left is a bloke in a brown bomber jacket. Right? If you look one above him, it looks like Dino. So I have a question for Dino.
It is Dino.
Is it Dino?
Dino's one of those African players. He reckons he's 21, and in fact he's like 45.
Doctor Who, just a time travel. Like him.
You know what the Turks are like? They look younger than they actually are.
Dr. Dino. It looks
Exactly.
like you. Where's the TARDIS?
Now, Darren, I thought you were the one with the curly hair and the glasses at the front with the white jacket.
Before I went to Canada, that is.
Yeah, mate. The perm. We love a good perm, mate. It's the 80s after all. Moobsy is bottom right. Yeah, we reckon so. I think he is.
Brilliant. It's like Where's Waldo?
Where's something, mate?
That's right.
Oh, Dino was banged up in Turkey. Brilliant. Right, okay, let's get to this topic. Enough of this Turkish banter. Right, Dan Brown said, is it time for Gino to sell up? Greg, what do you reckon, mate?
I feel that everything has a tenure and a time. I think probably it feels about right. I think he's done good. Don't get me wrong, he's done some good things. But I think it is a tired ownership. I think it is an ownership that might have lost a bit of interest.
Yeah.
And I think possibly it is. However, if you listen to both summaries of the account, I think there's 3 summaries of the accounts that are out there. One by the Watford Buzz, where they got Kieran Maguire in, who is an excellent football analyst that does a podcast called The Price of Football. And Pete from Do Not Scratch Your Eyes has done one as well that actually Janet and Johns it and makes it easy for the unfinancial the financial person to understand. We're in a position where basically the club is worth about what Gino's debt is. So Gino doesn't say it's worth that. Gino says it's worth 170 million. Well, I think he's living in cloud cuckoo land. Yeah. Most people value it at around where Gino's debt is, which I think is somewhere between 40 to 50 million. And that's the problem. Gino wants more than that back. That's basically the problem. So yes, I feel it's tired. Yes, I feel it's time for somebody new, with the caveat that it's the right person, because we don't want a wrong un. We want somebody that is the right fit for Watford. And what I would like is, I wouldn't like Elton John to come back. He's done his time. But my word, that man must be connected, particularly in the US. Could he not broker something for us? I don't know. But yes, I think it is the right person, but I think it will be very challenging because of how our accounts are currently sitting. The account, they are, it's far from a disaster. They have made great work on reducing that debt over the past few seasons, and they've done very, very well. However, the problem is the Gino debt that sits on the books.
Mm.
Dino.
Yes. I've always been them in, always have. I am kind of going with Greg now. It's kind of reaching its end. Like Greg said, they've done great things. I remember that crappy old ground we had, the family stand. They come in, done that in. The Graham Taylor statue, which was always going to happen again. We had, 5 years in the Premier League? I never thought I'd see us stay there. We got to the FA Cup final. We nearly made, Europe. We've had all these great things, and now we've just gone backwards since we sold players like Decore and Will Hughes in the same season. We never really recovered from then. You're talking about two good international players, and we never really replaced them with just as good or better players. And after that, it just went downhill, and we've got worse and worse and worse. And it's such a shame. Yeah, I do believe, he's lost interest because he'd have backed Tom Cleverley a lot more now, especially at this time where we need players to go for that final push. Yeah, Greg said an important thing there as well. It's important who it goes to now. We don't want it to go to someone who hasn't got a clue and ruins us, and we go even further back. So, yeah, thank you very much for this time. You've been great. We've had some great memories, but it has gone flat, and I think it does really need a revamp. I think Cleverley, I think everyone agrees, is doing really well with what he's got, but we are buying older players that are near the end of their career. I do like players like Sissoko, but we need younger, fresher players now. They can't do it anymore. Good players for what we're getting, but we need young and up-and-coming, fresh players that are going to take us to the next level and get us promoted and possibly stay in the Premier League in a couple of years. So, yeah, I think it is time to sell now. I agree with Greg and others. It is time to sell up, but it's a matter of when. It might still be a few more years. You don't know yet. So we'll see, basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with exactly what Greg and Dino said. I'm sorry, but it is pretty much time for Gino to get out. I think there was a few years ago someone actually done a report that showed how the Pozzo way had started to change then. How he'd built up with Grenada, Udinese and us, and how they were able to do things and make things successful. But ever since things have changed, the United Kingdom left the EU. I'm not going to get political, by the way, people, so don't start having a moan. Things did start, and that's when I feel things really did start changing with us, because all of a sudden we couldn't start doing we had to stop doing the things that we were doing, i.e. getting some players in on the cheap, like from overseas, South America especially, and then loading them off somewhere for a bit, getting them a visa, and then they come back to us. So I think, yeah, it's run its course. Like Dino has said, we've had some great times under Gino. No shadow of a doubt. No one is going to forget that. Well, apart from the scoreline, the FA Cup final. We won't mention what the scoreline was. But there's been some good times, but more lately, and I'll be honest, it feels like there's more bad times now. And when that starts to happen, it's quite hard to reverse it. So, yeah, I think it is time for him to bow out. Yeah, Halsey, I agree. I think there was changes needed after the cup final. They didn't do. They just left it, thinking they'd get away with it, and it come back and bit them on the arse so badly that it was too late to react. And when they did react, well, like I say, it was too little, too late.
I think,
but,
sorry. To be fair to Damsbury, he said that's where they made the mistake after the cup final.
But that was the summer. It was that summer when we just signed a lad. He was previously at. He's played for all the W's. He was at West Brom. He went to Watford. He went to West Ham. Now he's at Wolves. The centre half. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, Dawson.
Oh yeah, Donkey Dawson.
Yeah, so Dawson was the only signing that summer after the FA Cup final for me. Every now and then I'll sit there to feel good again. I'll go and look at the old highlights of the Wolves Watford semi-final, which was an amazing day and one of the best in history, right? It was amazing. But I've always said I felt that summer was the summer that he got greedy. He didn't invest in that squad at all. He brought in even then Dawson was an older player. And when you look at that starting lineup against Wolves or against City, however you want to pick it, that was a great squad. And we can all be a little bit guilty of complacency and thinking this is a great life. We've been in the Premier a few years now. We've got some amazing players, but it's like anything. If you don't reinvest, unfortunately, if you don't reinvest, you're going to get burnt. And I think, like for me, this season Tom has done magnificently well with a very young squad, and he's brought certain players on. So far, it's fantastic. And from a selling perspective, we're right on the edge of London. It's an attractive-looking club. It really is. We're not sixth from bottom or something like that. We've got some fine young players here, and it's. I think there's reason for optimism, but the optimism is, as you said, Greg, on the basis that whoever comes in, you don't want to go from the frying pan to the fire, right? You want definitely sound investment, and it's tough. I mean, it's like my mate is a Saints fan, and he hates the owners they've got now. Not just because poor form, but the owners have got no relationship with the fans, which is what we have experienced for a few years with Pozo in particular. But it's just it's such a fine line, and I think that the reality is, if you're going to run a football club, you have to expect to lose money. There's no money long term, unless you're a billionaire and you can take one of the mega clubs who are literally global. It's tough, right?
That's Duncan Way. The Football League needs the fair deal for football. Every championship club on average is losing 400 grand a week. I think they're working business. But that's not sustainable.
No, I'm not being funny. It should people look upon certain other countries as inferior, but I'm sorry, there should be the 50+1 rule, like they're doing certain countries. Well, Bundesliga certainly do it.
Germany, yeah, you're right.
That would help. That would be a long step. I know it never happened, and it's delusion to even think it would happen. But that would be a good way forward for every club to do that. There'd be less chance of thrown into debt. Put that way. Look at upon. We've talked about this many times. We all know the apex of this squad was the FA Cup semi-final. After that, it petered out. They got complacent. I said this to WD18 when me and my colleague was on it, that we had to invest heavily in defenders. Don't worry about the forward line. Invest heavily in defenders. This was after the Taylor game, before the start of the season, before we lost to Brighton, before we did all that. I said that summer we need to rip up the defence, and reinvest that defence. It's too old. It's too slow, and that was what relegated us, was our defence. I mean, the whole team plays as one. I get that, but like I said before, we're the top 10 midfield and forward line and a bottom 3 defence, and that's the problem. We didn't invest properly. In regards this season, Greg, I agree with you. If we're going to get investment, we need someone who can, embed themselves in the culture. Understand the background of the club, what it means to the fans. I mean, this is all like great and to speak about it. In practice, it's something totally different. But we need someone like that who understands the fans. Obviously, has a bit of money to go around as well to invest, but someone who has a clear plan of what they want to do. Because we know head coaches are just head coaches now. They're not Alex Ferguson or GTs anymore. They don't run the club anymore. They don't look after the transfers. But you need a plan of action of what they want long term, what we need to do, and just implement it. The Pozzos at one stage did, because every season we were buying players that can improve the side every season. The Cabals, the Tacores, the Delafeos. Every season we were trying to improve. Then what's the next step up for us? What's the next player that can improve us? And then it just went to a halt. And that's what the new owner, if we do get a new owner, needs to do. Like you said, Greg, it was working for a certain period, and we had a fantastic ride, but there needs to be a reset now in terms of ownership. And wishful thinking, but we need another owner now. I think we need fresh investment and somebody who can connect a bit more.
What Scott put his hand up and said at the forum is what the mistake they made after the cup final is players wanted to leave, and they persuaded them to stay and stop being Watford and started paying un-Watford money to your Decores, to your Deeneys, to your Capoos. They started paying silly money. They should have let them go. They should have let them go and rebuilt, because Watford can't sustain paying a footballer £120,000 a week, which Troy Deeney was on at his height. We're not big enough to, in whatever division we're in, we're not big enough to pay anybody 120 grand a week.
Yeah, but look at this, Greg, as well. I'll pose this to you as well. Slightly different in terms of thing. I mean, Moves might know about this as well. The same, funny enough, coincidentally, the same season, which Spurs get to the Champions League final, which I say is the apex of that squad. We get to the FA Cup final. Okay, both lose, but both teams needed ripping up and paying almost new squads being refreshed. Spurs have not done anything since then. They were challenging for the title most seasons. Okay, bottled it, but they were still challenging. Champions League final, but they were challenging. They were up. They were major honours. They've done nothing since that season. Same with us. We got complacent. We've been relegated a couple of times, promoted. We've not been the same either. And it's the thing is, you go on for so long, and like Greg said, you're keeping players that don't want to stay, rather than ripping up the rule book and basically going, right, okay, here's the rebuild. And Spurs suffered a slightly different style, slightly different. But very similar thing that what we did. Obviously not getting relegated, but in terms of how they'd seen, they should have ripped up the rule book and done that as well. I said the same, funny enough, the same season. And I know it's a totally different side, but we keep looking back at it. But this season, they need to, if they're going to do it, they need to back him in January. We know we're not going to have mega signings because clubs are going to ask for 3 or 4 times the amount for the players anyway. We know that, but as long as we have a clear plan, a clear vision of who we want to spend it on, and at least listen to Tom now, because like we've already said, Bilic wasn't listened to. They need to listen to Tom, bring in a certain profile player, just to try and get us over the line. Players that we can get on loan with obviously a prospect of buying, which would be nice. Let's see what's the thing, rather than just bringing in players willy nilly like they did a couple of seasons ago. None of them ever pulled Rouge or whatever he's called. Jesus, don't get me started on him. Apparently he had £100 million buyout clause. Jesus Christ.
Enrique Rouge.
That's it, from Benfica.
Oh God, one of the worst strikers ever to grace the pitch at Watford in a Watford shirt.
There's 2 types of signings, aren't there? There are development signings, which are all well and good that you sign to develop and bring on. But Tom has asked for plug-in and play players. I understand Tom has got 3 in mind. None of them are that expensive within the budgets. They're reasonable, and I hope he gets them. That's what all this support is about. Let's hope Tom gets what he asked for. If he doesn't, well, there's a problem, because this squad actually. That championship this year isn't that strong. You saw yesterday what we've got. If you sprinkle a couple of nuggets, a couple of good, hardened championship players, we could easily beat those playoffs. We've got a left-sided defender becoming fit now, Kevin Caban, so we might not need that left-sided defender. He's going to be very good. He's playing in an under-20s game on Monday. he should be available. And now the back line looks a lot healthier. Just give Tom what he wants.
Yeah, Woody, you just proved my point, mate. They're 15th, and there's a reason why. You check the last few years after that Champions League final, mate. It's just the example meant was both teams should have reset, and they've done nothing since.
And they did
nothing since. That's it.
No.
But sorry, boys, go on.
No, I'm just going to say, just on the subject of that, Spurs haven't reset at all.
No.
Now, now a lot of you know that I do have some ties to Tottenham. And I've got to be honest, I saw part of the Everton game today, and they are in total disarray. And that is not down, and it is not down to Postecoglou, or what I'll call him Big Ange. It's not down to him. The Aussie. It's not down to him. It is all Daniel Levy. It is just all him. And as someone on a Tottenham forum that I'm allowed in on Facebook has put it today, if they sack Big Ange now, that's 6 managers in 6 seasons. They cannot get anything. Yeah, that's on par. That is on par with us, and that they cannot get any more. That they won't be able to get any stability because it's just going to go round and round in a vicious circle. And from what I've heard, there's at least 2 players that played today who won out. There is 2 first-team players who won out. They've had enough. And one of them is one of our ex-players, Rich Arlison. He apparently has said he wants to go. And the other one is James Maddison. He's turned around and told
they
people...
can both come on loan at Watford then, can't they?
I'll tell you what, I would happily take the 2 of them.
Yeah,
seriously,
I wouldn't mind. Yeah,
that would. I'll tell you what, that would pretty much solve everything and anything, to an extent.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely true. Right. The final one before we get onto your segments, mate.
Oh yes,
Mr. Terry Pearce. We're a proud partner of InReach as well. Photocopiers. So big shout out to Terry here. He says, Dean, I'll let you do it because you've been quiet in the corner. Should we get bring Rivich back, or sign a new striker?
Oh, God. I'd personally get Rivich back, to be honest with you, and I think that's what they will do. I think, it's not going to cost any money to get him back, and like I said, it's hard to find what new striker we're going to get. I personally think it was a mistake. I think most people agree. Doing Rivich at the time, he did nothing wrong. He scored a couple of goals, and I'd like to do both, really, get Rivich back and sign a striker, but I don't think that's going to happen either. So I like Rivich. I've always liked him. I know he's not a total bloody striker, and I know we got to put the crosses in for him. We got to play to his strengths. I know all that, but I was trying to think of another striker. What's the bloody one that plays for Everton that always winds people up? What's his name? Neil Pie or something? What's his name?
Yeah, Morpie. No, he's going permanent to Marseille in the summer.
Oh, has he? I wouldn't have mind signing him. I wouldn't a player like that. I wouldn't mind having him up. He's had championship. Yeah, he's had championship experience. I don't mind him. He's another sort of player I'd look at, but I didn't realise he was going. He's another one I'd look at. Someone like him. He's played in that division. He's not playing much. Well, he weren't playing much at Everton. Is he at Everton now?
He's scored 1 goal in 29 games or so, and the guy fucked off to Marseille.
Well, it's nothing new. We normally sign players like that anyway, so it's nothing new to us. Let's be honest.
Senior, mate. Jesus.
Pretty good.
Darren, yeah, exactly, mate. Darren, what do you reckon, mate?
I similar to Dino. I do like Rivich. I mean, Tom did make it quite clear though that it wasn't in his plans previously. But now apparently they have started talking, so it's whether Tom feels that. I wouldn't mind seeing a fresh face in for the sake of a fresh face as well. But like others have said, like Greg was saying as well, the January window is always the toughest window, and it's really hard. The thing that does irk me, and why not just Watford, why clubs don't look at League One and League Two? There's always a couple of diamonds there, and the same with Scotland. You can look at Rocco Varta. tremendous young player, right? Come down from Celtic, is tremendous, and he looks the part, and he wants to be part of the squad. Is fantastic. You know, you don't even. I think it's unrealistic in this day and age for us right now to be looking at Premier League players dropping down for a 4-month loan just because so many of them have got such huge egos anyway. They won't want to drop down from that league, even if they're not kicking the ball. But like I say, there's some decent players in League One and League Two. And I know we were linked again, and I always forget the lad's name. We were linked at one point with that lad from Peterborough. We'll see, you know. But and if Rajovic, at the end of the day, if Rajovic came along, I'd be happy with that because I like seeing him in a Watford shirt. He was brave and he got a few goals. And again, this is the absurdity of Watford. It is the only club I know out of all my buddies who follow various clubs around the country. Watford's the only team I know that ever sold or loaned their previous season's top scorer. I've never known any club ever to do that in the top flight in Division 1 or Division 2. Bloody madness. But that's Watford for you, right? That's why we bleed yellow, black, and red, because we're bloody mugs sometimes, right? It's just so annoying. What club does that? I mean, I know at the end of the day, you know, Tom wanted a different formation, but I don't know. I just found that bizarre. And we got rid of Wesley or Hoyt, our previous player of the season, right, and captain. So it's a funny old club, but I'll let the other lads chip in anyway. Sorry.
Go on, Greg.
Rajovic. I don't look. My point with Rajovic is if Tom didn't think he could do what he wants to send us forward to do in the summer, well, he can't do it now because he wouldn't have developed and he was never going there to develop anyway. Would I have him back? Look, cross the ball in the air, in the box, he's going to score. If it's nobody else, yes, I would. But I think they will bring another one in. And I'll give a name. I've mentioned it before. Will Lancashire at Spurs had a very good tour for Spurs. Unlikely to get in there. Highly thought of, and the type of forward that Tom likes. Big, strong, brings other players into play. He might be too raw. I think he's 19, 20. He might be too raw. But that's the name I'd give. As I say, Rajovic, if he couldn't do it in the summer what Tom needs, I can't see him being able to do it now.
Yeah.
I'm in the... What am I smoking? Not smoke. I'm not. I don't smoke, Stuart. Unfortunately, I gave it up a long time ago, mate. Health reasons.
You should sign you up, Moobs. By the sounds of it, on Facebook. That's what I was saying.
I've got to be honest. I won't blame my own trumpet, but yeah, I did score a bit of a worldie on Thursday night. Even the goalkeeper turned around and got up and applauded me for it because there was nothing he could do about it. Straight in the bottom corner, right in the bottom corner. Postage stamp alert. Should Rajovic come back? I think just for the rest of this season, yes. I think there's been times where it's been highlighted in games where you put Bale on the end of a cross, it ends up in Rose Ed, or he completely makes a meal of it and ends up putting it out for a goal kick. Whereas if you'd had Rajovic in that position, pretty much bang, the ball's in the back of the net because he gets his head on it where he wants it put. I love what Greg's just said about that the young Spurs striker. There's another young Spurs striker I'm thinking of, and that's Mikey Moore. Just come... You cheeky git, Halsey. Get you for that. Was he toilet for us? Well, why was he top scorer then, Lee? Why was he top?
Lee's finding new targets, isn't he? Because he can't moan about Backward at the moment.
There's twattery again. Twattery. But you know, young lad Mikey Moore. He played last week against Tamworth. Let's remain a five-a-side. That's if Watford women don't have a game, Stuart. Might be a game. More on that coming up very shortly. Yeah, I think someone like Mikey Moore could do a job for us as well. He is like what Greg said about Lancashire. He is highly rated at Spurs as well. This Mikey Moore, and from what I saw last week against Tamworth, I can see why. Okay, he didn't have the best of games because he's only just come back from a serious flu bug thing, which I don't really know what was going on. But yeah, I would seriously get him. But I'd also, what's wrong with going with Rajovic? That he is our player at the end of the day. So
can't press moves.
I know, that's the thing. Yes, I think he did, Halsey. I think he did put the cross in for the second goal.
It did make Calvert-Lewin look like Lionel Messi today, by the way.
Yes, I know. I've seen that, and yeah, that's a flash in the pan moment. Trust me, mate. That's not going to happen again. But yeah, it's just tough because, like we said, if the board aren't going to give what Tom wants, then what the hell are we going to do? Because we will get found out, and then we'll plummet down that table, and I don't want that to happen. And at the end of the day, they've got to do something. Someone somewhere's got to pull something out of a hat.
Yeah. Right, boys. Before we go on to Moves' segment, anything else you want to add? Greg, Darren, Moves, nothing.
No.
Right, go on then. I was stuck. It was like, get the intro. Right, okay, let's go.
Yes, people. Hello. We're just going to quickly move away from the men's team. Welcome to your favourite part of the week. Oh, God, that's depressing. What's depressing? I'd love to know what's depressing.
No, that was before, mate. I just thought I'd leave it until you came on, mate.
Melanie, we'll try and cheer you up with a night with some delightful news. The script is back this week, people. I've brought it back for this week, purely because my brain gets frazzled far too much. And after about 10 pints in Derby yesterday, you probably understand why. I'm going to start with non-league because non-league has been a great day. It's been a great couple of weeks as well, actually, especially if you're part of the Barmy Tudor army. Yes, because out of nowhere, someone has hit. It's a bit like what we're saying with Watford in a minute needs to happen. But it's happened at Hemel. They've hit the reset button. Jesus, I hear you cry. What could possibly be happening? Well, they've gone and won 2 on the bounce. They've actually gone and won 2 games and are scoring goals again. Pidge is probably in shock and is going to fall off his chair. If Connor's still listening, he's probably collapsed somewhere and needing the defibrillator. By the way, all jokes aside on that, I know it's serious. But yeah, I've got to say a big shout out to Hemel because, yes, they won 4-1 at home last week against Slough to do the double on them for the season. But yesterday they travelled all the way down to Farnborough, and well done to the 40 Tudors fans who went down because Hemel made it back-to-back wins with a 1-0 win down there. Absolutely brilliant because it's just reignited the season for them, and they've got some tough games coming up. So to get some more points on the board now, really, really good. Stuart, more on that very, very shortly. We come into the girls section shortly. A few other little results. Well done to some team called something St Albans, whatever you want to call them. I'll call them that. They got a very precious 1-1 draw against the league leaders, Torquay United. But mind the gap, though, please, St Albans, because you're still 12 points behind the Tudors. And a big well done to Chesham United as well. They got a big 2-0 win yesterday against Maidstone United. That's huge for them because they are flying in the National League South. And Kings Langley also chalked up a home win as well. They're going they're going strong. They beat Northley 3-0. So that is a little bit of non-league. Now it's time to welcome back the ladies for 2025. So of Hitchin Town. Another one for Hitchin Town. That's brilliant, Melanie. Well done to Hitchin. Not sure who they were playing or what the score was. I think someone did tell me. Beard's taken over me. But yes, for the first time this year in 2025, the girls have finally played a league game. Now, the last couple of weeks, they've had games called off because of the weather. Totally out of our hands. So, very, very pleased to say that the girls have kicked a ball today. And it's been a Watford women double today because we've got the development team as well playing today, and they've won. So, more on that very shortly. But firstly, the first team travelled all the way back to Plymouth. Now, you might remember Plymouth beat us back in December in the Cup to knock us out 1-0. Well, let's just say the girls had a bit of a bee in their bonnet over this one and decided to go and absolutely backlash against them. And Plymouth just had no answer to us today as they ran out 4-0 winners. Goals from Ellie Head, Jessie Gale. Finally, Bianca Baptiste has finally got back on the score sheet since coming out of retirement. And captain Megan Chandler rounded it off with a superb 30-yarder. Although we're still waiting to see the video of it. We haven't been given it yet. Keep an eye out on the socials for it because it will appear soon. So yeah, so they're now up to 4th in the table, but that league has got so much sorting out to do because there are games in. Everyone's got games in hand. More on that very short. I will answer that very shortly, Mr. Harvey. I have an answer for you. So, as I said, last week's game against Milton Keynes Dons women was called off because of a frozen pitch. No need to Google it. I will tell you shortly. So we're still waiting for a rearranged date. Stuart, hold your horses because you might be in luck. That weekend you're over because now that game's been called off, that could be the weekend it gets penciled in for. We haven't been told officially yet. We're still waiting to hear, but there is a very strong possibility that's when we'll have to play it. I bet he does. Final furlong as well. Wins by a short head. Next fixture for the women, though. We are back at home for the first time this year. Next Sunday, we take on Lewis women, and it's always a pleasure to have Lewis visit us because they are some of the nicest people we've met. They're a great set of people. Wonderful club run for the men and the women, and their fans are fantastic as well. So, Grosvenor Vale next Sunday. We are going back there for the first time. Get your tickets online, watfordfc.com/tickets. Remember, if you are a season ticket holder or a member, you get discount on the ticket. You get half price. But that's Woody. That's not. It can't be. Can't be because we're away at Cheltenham that day. Oh, I'll give up. Yeah, Watford women are away that day. Apparently, although apparently there is a game. I thought there was a spare gap. So yeah, honestly, please guys, get your tickets, come down. It's going to be a thrilling end to the season at this rate. Like I say, because that league is so out of position at the minute because there's games in hand on everyone. The girls will need all the support. They want to go for it. They're going to go for it, and they're not going to give it up till it's mathematically impossible. So, dear God, we have got more problems going on here. Yeah, so honestly, please, guys, come down next Sunday. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff. We don't think the weather's going to be an issue next Sunday. It'll be great to have all of you there. We really need to push it, make the noise. Yeah, and the women are away that day as well. We know that. I'll get it. We'll sort that out later. But yeah, so that's next Sunday. Yes, and I'd comment if I said it, but Watford Development, the under-23s today, they won 5-0 against Burco Ladies in the county cup. Fantastic afternoon out, especially as I told the ref he was a bit delusional for giving a penalty. He turned around, looked at me, and gave me one of the worst looks, going as if to say, "Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about," which everyone laughed at. But just for Halsey, where is Gwalia United? Well, Gwalia is all the way down in Wales. Yes, that's right. It's the old Cardiff City women's team. Yes, they are. Yes, thank you, Aidan, for the crying emojis. Yeah, so Gwalia are the old Cardiff City team. And at the moment, they're absolutely struggling because if they don't get their act together, they could actually be relegated for National League South this season. So it will be a very interesting game, but we should have enough to get past them. But that's for that time. But yeah, please, guys, if you're not doing anything next Sunday, come on down, please. Come and cheer the girls on because they appreciate all the support as always. And we really, really need it. So, yeah, you know what to do next Sunday, 2 o'clock, Grows the Vale. Come on down.
Right, we're gonna go. Darren's already legged it, like Dino when they open up the jail cell.
He's back on patrol.
Yeah, he's back on the Citizens on COP, in it, mate.
Citizens on patrol.
Cheers, Jeff. From Aidan.
Thank you.
See you there. Be there or be square. Right. Yeah. So thank you very much, guys and girls. We'll be back next Saturday to obviously review the game at the weekend. And then obviously back at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. once again Sunday night, where you choose the topics. We will discuss them. So we'll see you back next weekend. Massive thanks to Canadian Darren, the man, the myth, the legend, Mood Dino, Turkish immigrant Dino, and Mr. Wendover Horn. Cheers, boys. Thank you very much. Any last things before we go, boys?
One from me. Massive 12 days for Watford coming up. Massive 12 days. Big game on Tuesday night. Let's all unite as one and get behind Tom Cleverley. Let's sing Tom Cleverley's name for 90 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah. Boys.
100% what Greg said. Sing our hearts out Tuesday night. We're going to have to let's send a message loud and clear now. You know what happened yesterday was brilliant. 2,700 of us made our voices heard. Well, we'll have 18,000 hopefully there Tuesday night. Let's make 18,000 voices heard and show that board that, you know, sort it out or else in a big way.
Dino, you right? Relaxed?
Yeah, no, if we, like I said, get a win, 7 points out of 9, that's very good for the 3 games. So, yeah, let's get a win on Tuesday. It'd be great.